Anyway, so
Are you going to hold it like that the whole time?
Yeah, I can do.
Oh,
you have to actually
God.
speak, Henry.
Do
Right?
you know
Henry's
what's so
taken
amazing?
over here.
You know what? Coming to here into your studio makes me realise.
What?
Men can't multitask, and I'm a double multitasker.
Yeah, I know. I needed you. You know what? You need to put your mouth to the microphone. Like, I'll tell you what, people. If I've guided Henry to put his mouth to the microphone 1,000 times, he's like,
I know.
It's like it's just. He's
and
talking
you would
to me.
think I would know that by now.
No, you would.
know.
Yeah, I mean, you've met Oprah. You know. Anyway, but okay. So I'm gonna rattle off some things.
Well, we're going to talk about the ethical thing very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how do you stay ethical?
Look, I think it's a struggle, and
I love that.
It is.
Well, because you stole my milk.
You know, you're not supposed to lash out at people when they lash out at you, and I really, it's a work in progress.
Yep.
But what I'm trying to do in this chapter of my life is to really work with companies that are ethically oriented.
Okay.
And I'm very proud to actually speak to you about this.
Yeah, tell me about
group.
that. What they
it's called Soul to Soul, which is spelled SOUL to SOLE.
Okay.
And to cut a long story short, these people are so humble.
Soul to soul.
So humble. Like it's like you wouldn't know unless you started reading the biography. Dr. Michael Kitchington, who's the founder of this organisation. I mean, this man is like probably one of the most foremost podiatrists on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
He helped set up the foot care teams for the Olympics of Sydney, Athens. He consulted at Beijing. He's worked with like Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, and he doesn't talk about it. Or he doesn't
when they were
allude to
married.
it.
When they were together?
Well, when they were doing Fox, down in Sydney, when they were at the Fox Studios.
Oh.
So he's substantial.
He knows a bit of Oswald, though, but doesn't he? Right?
Well,
I'm not going
I
there.
thought to myself,
okay.
you know what? He's so not the kind of person to even talk about the fact. So I never did.
Okay.
I
But
did
I
want to
would
ask him
definitely
what was
ask
Tom
him.
Cruise as handsome as I thought he must be.
Yeah, I know. He's a bit of a hottie.
He is a hottie.
Yeah,
But so,
okay.
so basically, the program's rolling out, and this is going to be a really big challenge, and that's why I'm obsessed by it.
Yep.
Totally obsessed.
And when you become obsessed,
I can't stand myself. I tell you, I'm like really.
Do you know? Because both of us do have ADHD.
It's the worst. I'm so.
We're underdiagnosed. I think I've got a bit Tourette's as well. Sorry. Anyway.
I just think that you have got a lot of energy, and I think that it's not any malfunction, because if that is the case, then I'm very malformed myself.
No, that's
but anyway,
right. That's why we're meant to be in New York anyway.
So the bottom line is that he has produced this unique flip-flop, which is an orthopedic flip-flop.
Like a thong.
Yes.
Not like a thong that I wear on my...
But the reason is that when people kick off their shoes and go into casual wear, that's actually more harmful to your feet, because there's no support normally in casual wear.
Okay.
So to cut a long story short, the whole concept and the whole mission of this social enterprise is to generate enough money that it will then, for every approximately 2 Ossify soul-to-soul footwear, you will generate enough money that will give a new pair of shoes to the homeless and also backup medical care. And that's just the beginning of the program.
Oh, my God.
And it's massive. But the question, of course, has to be, how do you market that? How do you get that message out to the public? So that is a very, very, very...
You know what it is? We just keep talking about it. That's what we do. Just keep talking about it. Keep talking about it. Keep talking about it.
And also being clever about how you strategize. So from my perspective, I think it starts with, well, first of all, what does the consumer want? So it's the fact is that this flip-flop is like no other in the world.
Yep.
Number 2, the wellness of...
Is it going to make my feet look sexy?
You know what it's going to be doing? We're going to be doing... I'm giving you a scoop now.
Yeah.
This is an international scoop. I'm giving you an insight into one of our best ideas.
Okay.
We're going to have a no heels day.
I don't wear heels.
But do you know how much damage high heels do for women?
Yeah, I know. I don't wear them. That's because I can't walk in them.
That's right. Because but that's we're putting our foot down literally with that.
Oh my God! Put your foot down.
Yes, we are. Yep. So you're getting that.
Yep.
I think that's and we want to change. We want to have legislation on the heights of shoes as compulsory in Australia with warning labels.
Oh my God! Are you going to tell my mother this? Because my mother will protest against that. My mum like it's practically a weapon.
But that's good.
Yeah.
That's why we're in a democracy.
Yes, that is.
But
correct.
the thing is, if it causes people to talk about it, that's what we want.
Well, that's exactly right. Let's just talk about it.
Pop on to ossifyaustralia.com.
Yeah.
And what about you and your business ethically?
How do I do it? Ethically, I always go out of my way
Darling,
to think about how I can actually help someone. So when I meet someone, I'm always looking and saying, my first thing that I actually do is, how can I possibly help you? What can I do for you? and then somewhere along the line you'll probably help me.
I will interject
I'm
there.
always like that. How can I help you? What can I do for you? So when I'm speaking to you, like, and you're telling me this, like, if you think so many times, I go, oh, well, Henry, I don't know, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could help you do that. Or, I don't know, you know, I could connect you with someone like that.
I'll tell you where I think you're, and one of the things that make you unique and what you don't find in people, wherever those people might be that you don't find.
Because I find them in New York. I need to find them.
Even less so, I think.
Yeah, tell me.
You have no problem, and you actually encourage yourself to help people like me, for example, with resources, with people you've worked with. Like, you've put me in contact with Elpis, your dear friend. People don't do that. She's like, you know,
she's a god.
Yes.
Okay. Elpis
that was your resource. And so people are very competitive. People are very scared and you are so open, and that's something I have to be more open about. And so I'm going to be more open. I'm going to put this bloody thing here because I can't.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm really because I kind of go. Well, I mean, if I have someone cool in my life, I want you to know that I've got somebody cool in my life, and I want to share.
People are not like that.
Yeah. Well,
I
know. Well,
and the thing is, I know you don't.
Because I have really cool. I mean. Elvis came to New York with us, and that was very cool. But you introduced us to Wendy Diamond, and Wendy Diamond is very, very cool.
Because...
And we got to meet her, and that was really cool. Now, I've got some other questions. We've talked about all of this stuff, right?
I tell you what.
We've talked about all of this.
Facebook Live is a pain in the bum.
Yeah, no. Well, people can kind of get in. It's all right. We've got people watching, right?
Hello.
Now, this is my other question. I'm going to rattle off some people.
Okay.
And I want to know your opinion of these people. Like, you can tell me flat out, okay?
Right,
do whatever. You got to do what you got to do,
sure,
right? Okay.
Sure.
Give me Melania Trump.
Iconic.
Really?
She is well, she's so smart because obviously the reports were that they were going to divorce.
Yeah.
It was a shock to the world that he came into power, Trump.
Oh my God.
But more to the family. They couldn't believe it.
No.
So the point is this, she was trapped.
I think the only people that predicted it was The Simpsons.
The Simpsons predicted it.
Yeah.
So why I say she's iconic is because
what she wears.
She has been, forget what she's wearing, but through her body language, she's made it very aware to the world that she has a loathing for her husband. She was in Israel, seen on camera, slapping he wanted to hold her hand, slapped her hand away. So in other words, he's the president, but as a woman, by not playing ball, they went together to the, there's the State of the Nation at the beginning of every sitting of Parliament. And
I need to watch that.
Every year, right? Every year they have the president, and he makes his like the Queen, like the opening.
Yeah.
So can you believe came from the White House? They left in separate cars. They get to where they have to speak.
Yep.
In the White House, and what happens is, when it's a Republican president speaking, the Democrats sit there and don't say a word, and everybody's clapping on the opposite. And when it's a Democrat president, then the Republicans shut up there and don't say a word. So her husband's obviously in power.
Yeah.
Do you know she did not move? I love her.
I love her too.
You know what? She's like, F you. She's just amazing. She is an extraordinary human being that's been put through extraordinarily.
I don't think she was up for the ride of First Lady. Do you think that's?
I think she's a genius.
Oh really?
I think she's an extraordinarily.
I love that you say that.
I think that but just because she looks good doesn't mean she's stupid.
No.
It's the reverse.
Oh my God, not at all. Well, she's married to this guy. Like,
clever.
She's smart. You know what I mean? She's actually.
She came from a small town in Czechoslovakia. She's a smart woman.
She's a smart woman. Okay, beautiful. I think she's beautiful,
Yeah,
and my heart actually goes out to her because although she may be smart and all of that, she's in a very tricky situation. She must be very lonely.
She's in jail.
She's in jail. She's very lonely, and that is quite heartbreaking, right? To look at and go, she might be all of these things, but she is that, and that breaks my heart because at the end of the day, I still look at her as woman to woman, and I'm feeling her. You know what I mean? I get that.
And as a woman, she's able to wield her power in such an effective way. It's unbelievable. He's scared of her. He is scared of her because she's not saying a word. And her body language is saying it all.
I want to YouTube clip of her flicking him away. All right, I like that one. Okay. Next thing we're going to go with, let me go Barnaby Joyce.
I am ashamed when I hear his name.
What?
I am horrified at that man's actions.
He had an affair.
Okay.
Like, seriously, he had an affair. It's not the end of the world.
To me, it links with Me Too.
Tell me.
It's a complete disrespect of women on many, many levels. He happened to have been the vice prime minister, so he is supposed to lead by example. Your guest previously, Tegan, is about the company you keep.
Yep.
So there he is in Canberra. He's got a whole family, children, the whole thing. He then goes ahead and has... So whatever happened to the example of having safe sex? So obviously he didn't have safe sex, did he? And he's got... So he's endangering his wife.
Yes, he's endangering.
Number one.
You never know.
Number
I
two,
mean, I'll say if you're going to have an affair, make sure if it's not on, it's not on.
It's
Safe
deceit.
sex,
It's deceit. And we're supposed to be trusting this person to leave this country.
Yeah.
And number three, he is completely like what I would imagine men are like often in the locker room. A complete disrespect of the whole thing. It's chauvinistic, misogynistic. He is regressive. He's Neanderthal. I am not impressed.
Okay, all right. Well,
what about you?
That's
I'm very harsh.
Yeah, you are very harsh, but that's okay. I look at it and I say there's probably stuff going on in his marriage that we don't know about.
For sure.
And I'm not very judgy on that area because you just never know what's happening in a house.
Yeah.
I think that the fact that he was so against like marriage equality,
yes,
and then was acting like the values of marriage is so perfect. I look more at that and say, well, if you're going to have the values of marriage, then and you're going to be against marriage equality, then you better have a really good marriage going on at home, right?
Yeah,
but he wasn't.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I look more about that and say, well, I kind of look at it like that, so.
I like that. That's
I like that.
Interesting.
And I also think there was probably stuff going on in his marriage. Maybe he was lonely. Maybe it was who knows what was going on. And he's obviously gone. And he didn't force the other girl to do that. I mean, look, he probably shouldn't have got her pregnant in that.
Well, but he could have worn a condom.
Yeah, he could have done all of that. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, he probably. And so obviously, who knows? He's probably sleeping with his wife, sleeping with two chicks at the same time.
That's what I'm saying.
Not using safe sex. Well, that's another thing, that is putting people's lives at danger. And I think if you are going to have an affair, don't put the other person's life at danger because she could potentially be sleeping with someone else.
Right.
And then before you know it, mother is only thinking she's sleeping with him, but in fact she's actually sleeping with 3 other people, which is like disease-ridden and who knows, that sort of stuff. So I'm looking at that. But the fact is I'm not... I think that someone's sex life should not impact their career.
Look...
So certainly what goes on in my life privately doesn't affect what happens at a school and how I speak. If I'm hanging from the chandeliers, right, and which I'm not, unfortunately, right, which is a little bit sad, right?
Well, we just have to give you a different kind of chandelier,
right, okay, but if I was hanging from the chandeliers and doing some weird stuff, I'd still perform in my job the way that I do, and I would not be any different than what I am, and I'd still have the same ethics as far as me going off. So if I have got my kinky thing about hanging from the chandeliers, then that's not really going to affect me.
Then that's
kind of like,
that's a very interesting point, though, because the thing is, then that's a question of where does ethics lie in the situation?
Well, there's nothing wrong with chandeliers, I don't say.
No,
anyway,
I just be careful they don't cut anywhere. No, but the point being that do we apply...
We've got a whole lot of people in Brighton that have a whole lot of chandeliers.
I think that
everyone's going to go home and just hanging. Woo! Anyway, that's all right. And I'm going to say that's fine with me, right? Okay.
But just very, very quickly on that.
Tell me.
Very, very quickly. The thing is, that's then... What does that mean? That is ethics supposed to be applied equally right across the board? Is there different levels for different situations? I'm just opening it up a question.
Well, how do you know? I mean, I might actually... You don't actually know, Henry. I mean...
Because the thing is...
How can you possibly say... I mean,
I don't know. Well, so the thing
no,
is,
I don't want to have an affair and I wouldn't want to do that sort of stuff.
I'm not saying that to you.
Like, I'm sure he's gone into his marriage with... If you go into the marriage and you have it... But, things can change and stuff can actually happen. And
what I was actually meaning was...
And so you don't know. And I'm not advocating, but I'm just actually saying that people... You don't know what's going on in people's homes and stuff like that.
With you
and
on
he
that.
may have been really lonely and he may have...
Sasha, I'm wrong with that.
Okay.
But I wasn't...
No,
that was my point. My point being that I agree with you. Normally, ordinarily, it wouldn't be even hit the size for me. My only point of difference here is that he isn't one of us.
Yeah.
He is the vice Prime Minister,
So,
or
yeah.
a Deputy Prime Minister. So my question to you was, does that mean, how does ethics then get applied? Should we just apply it right across the board, regardless of what his position is? Do you know what I mean? Or is there supposed to be a high level of ethics?
Well, has anyone actually heard from his wife how she feels? Maybe she's rapt to get rid of him. Who knows? Who actually knows? Maybe she was kind of encouraging him to go off. Who knows what's going on? But let's go. Okay, so we're going to go, Barnum.
I'm still confused on one thing.
All I kind of look at it go, if he was up for the gay marriage thing, well then I kind of,
I agree with all your
like
points.
I think that's kind of like, you can't go, no to gay marriage, but yes, I'm having an affair. That then says stuff about ethics to me, right? Because it's kind of like a double standard.
Yes.
So I can do whatever I want and break the vows of a marriage, but then, stuff everyone else, they don't have the right to be happy. So in that sense, I do think that's probably not right in that sense. But that's bringing in two bits of thing. Anyway,
not clear. I want to ask you one thing seriously though. As a it must be American. As a deputy prime minister,
do you have the right to have an affair?
No. Yeah. Is there different? Would it be expected or not? I don't know anymore. That's what I'm asking you.
Whatever you are in a job, still have needs.
So it's irrelevant. There should be the same level of ethics. You might be right.
Well, I don't think that.
Yeah, I suppose you might be right.
As if nobody in power's ever slept around before.
Well, what you're saying is it's
I mean,
nobody's
Bill
business.
Clinton, look what Bill Clinton actually did, and now everyone thinks he's like the world's greatest peacemaker. I mean, all right, he had an affair, okay? What he did, and Hillary Clinton, they've made it work, whatever. It's nobody's business what he does, right? But in his job, did he perform amazingly? Yes, he did. I mean, he's, done some amazing, groundbreaking peace between two countries, and he's known as this amazing peacemaker and done all these amazing things. Well, okay, just because at night time he was, getting a bit hanky-panky and doing all that stuff, but in his job, did he perform well? That's all to me that matters. I mean, you're not in your job 24 hours a day.
Well, perhaps when you're trying to give different standards of ethics in different situations, that's double standards. I'm really learning from that. I'm going to walk away from this thinking, you know what? If it's really going to be ethical, it should be right across the board, regardless of the situation. Ethics should have like a switch on. If you're a deputy prime minister, then you should be not having affairs. And do you know what I mean? I think.
Yeah, but how many people in politics? I mean, God, Bob Hawke was sleeping around out of control.
I understand that. So the thing is,
and he's now like an iconic bloke that everyone says, "Oh, what a great prime minister!" And he's brought in a lot of great things.
I tell you where I'm coming from.
I don't think he was faithful for 5 seconds.
But when you were born in my years, because I'm much older than you, I'm like antiquated now. I come from a different generation in one regard. In my day, anyway, not now, but in my day, it really was considered that he had those people in that sort of level of government had an ethical responsibility to be vanguards of whatever it was, right? And I think what's happening now is that there's an evolution of what's obviously that ethics is ethics, and it's like if it's nobody's business, it's nobody's business, regardless of what you do.
It's nobody's business.
Yeah.
I have the right to my own personal medical care. I have the right to my own personal life. What I do in the bedroom is my personal business. When I go see a doctor, it is my personal business. When I go see a psychologist, it is my personal business, right? Unless that affects my job. I mean, if he's like sleeping around when he should be working, and I'm paying him to do it, well, then that starts to become my my business, right? Yeah. I mean, if he's off and supposed to be working, but if in his private time is God only knows what he's doing, well, then that's not my business. Are you doing your job properly? Look, I'll whether I think he's doing his job properly, that's another story.
That's a different issue,
but it's certainly got nothing to do with what he does at home in his own personal time. Just because we don't own you as a human being. We own you for the work that you do, not as a human being.
I think I was applying double standards.
Right.
It's really interesting.
And I'm okay with that. Okay, right, let's go next one.
It's interesting.
Robert Doyle. Now, that's a whole nother one because he's broken the law.
Well, he's a broken man now.
Yeah. So what's going on? What do you think of Robert Doyle?
Okay. What I think is I love Melbourne. I know that. And I'm an absolute... how we're obsessive people, right?
Yeah.
Well, my obsession for Melbourne grows daily.
Yeah.
It gets more and more obsessive.
So you're horrified that this is even happening?
I live in the city. I live in right bang smack next to Southern Cross Station. And I'll tell you something. It's interesting. I feel that he's not there. I feel it.
You can feel it,
Yeah, I do. Because, but why I feel it is because that level of his respect was plummeted. And I support that because I'm a big supporter of Me Too. And it's an international movement.
Yep.
And I have to say it's very unfortunate, but we are experiencing here and now as we speak a women's social revolution, and it's about time.
Yeah.
And I just hope it gets even more and more stronger than even before. Like
100%.
The women wearing all black in the awards, I think was unbelievable.
Loved
what
it.
I'm looking out now for is the midterms in America with the elections. That's going to be a very interesting moment. But I'm hoping that there's going to be a global change, because the formula that we're having right now is not working. And part of that is the way power's been shared, and it's not ethical. And unfortunately, we're going to see a lot more of it.
Okay.
And that's the story.
Beautiful. Henry, it's been an absolute pleasure. We're over. We've got to go. We've got to go to the news. It's been an absolute pleasure having you online.
You're the best.
Me
Sacha.
too. I'm going to say me too. That's it.
I'm going to say, I wouldn't say me too, otherwise I'll get them to jail.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay, I'm going to say me too, because we're all part of that.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to the news, and thank you so much for joining us, Henry.
It's been an honour.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
We're going to go to the news, and see you later.
Bye. I never thought of that double standard. That put it in a totally different perspective for me.
Really?
I was actually learning while I was talking. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh my God! Well, that's
Can I take you for a coffee? You've got 2 seconds?
Yeah, I do. Well, I do.
Thank you.
Actually, I've got